Hey everyone, welcome back to LC Model Shipbuilding, and this episode is going to be the Minibrass sides that basically replace the whole upper area here for B deck and C deck, and basically replace all the riveting that's in here. So we'll go through quite a bit of that, talking about it and basically how to do it. We're not going to get into actually installing it in this episode because that's going to be a whole nother episode on its own, but we do assemble all of it basically all the way across, so you'll get an idea of what it's like to actually put it together and see how it goes together. So hopefully this is informative and you enjoy it. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. The channel's been getting a ton of new subscribers, so I appreciate that. And I think in the next couple days, my subscribers will have a giveaway coming, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, let's get started on the Minibrass. Okay, so here we go. With the current situation on Constitution, I'm into a point now where all I can do is tie rat lines, which are going to take massive amounts of time. I'll be still working on that, and I'll be doing it probably mainly when I'm watching TV and whatnot in my living room, because I can work on the ship there, and it really is not going to be worth watching much for this video. So those of you that have been tuning in for Constitution, there still will be probably a couple more videos of that, but there are going to be some time in between. So what I have here is sheet number 1 of the Minibrass set for Titanic, and we're going to start here. So first thing in the instructions, it does tell you to go ahead and wash everything down so that paint sticks to it and whatnot. I will be using rubbing alcohol for that. However, I have a I guess you'd call it a parts washer for 3D printing. So I will be using that and actually just put them in there to let them soak. And then once it's done, I will be using a just basically drying it by letting the air dry it, so you don't get anything into these details. I'm going to zoom in just for a second because you can see just the extensive amount of rivets that are on this. So cutting photo etch, first off, get yourself, I prefer a blade like this, one of the curved blades. They work very, very well. Next thing, do not, under any circumstances, bend your sheet, because you'll end up bending your part that you're trying to cut out. Make sure your knife is sharp, or not sharp, but in correctly. That generally would help. Okay. And what you will see, I'll zoom it in again, if you've never used photo etch, you'll see little spots like that, and that's where they attach it to. So we're going to go ahead and cut those off for a minute, and basically you want to get it right up to the edge, but don't cut any of your detail that you're obviously putting onto your model. Now, this I already know is going to be an extremely extensive process, and I am guessing there will probably be 2 to 3 videos to the Minibrass setup alone, just with how extensive this set is. And in the instructions, it really kind of suggests that you look at each part of this almost as its own kit, which makes sense. Now, this also will correct the porthole situation that I was referring to in the last video. Now, I'm not getting way up close to this because I will then hit it with a diamond file to kind of smooth these edges out. And I know those of you that have started the first video or two of this build probably are looking at the model and saying, well, you're not doing anything too impressive, it's kind of ugly. But really, that video has been all about just getting the ship sealed up so that it could float. And down around the propeller area there, now see, this is one area where I don't want to get bent here. I missed that. All right. Down around that propeller area, it is very potential for water to get in, so I had to go a little bit thicker with my JB Weld Marine to make sure that I don't end up having leaks. And we did the leak test in the last video, and I am happy to say after a half hour with probably about 8 pounds of stone in there, it passed that test, so I'm happy. So, files, and I want to go very gently on these because I'm only trying to get the edging just where that little piece of, I guess you would almost call it sprue, is. And you're just going to basically kind of rub it off till it goes away. I did pretty decent cuts, actually. There's not much left. So, even though I was, in my opinion, a little bit far, it seems to be okay. Now, the thing is with this, you need to have a good firm grip on it too, because this is very, very thin material that can bend extremely easy. You can see it bending just as I'm like holding it. So when you're doing your filing, you just want to make sure you're keeping it pretty straight and supported. There's a small little one right there. And there you go. This is a good example of how careful you have to be. You just, these little details with the little pieces of sprue are the things that will stick out and really be noticeable if you're not careful with it. So, what we're going to do is cut out this piece, obviously. And then there's backing plates that go on here as well. And they are here and here. So we're going to cut them next. I'll probably do that off camera. And then we're going to come back and attach them. So we're going to kind of attach the plating together so that basically we have one side of the ship ready to go. And we'll build up the doubling plates that go on it and everything. Then, once all of that is done, we will go back in and start doing the modifications from the hull, because all of the detail that Trumpeter had imprinted onto the hull, and I'm going to actually put the hull next to this a minute, you can see Trumpeter's rivets, and they are there. Don't get me wrong, but then when you come up and compare it to this, and this isn't the exact position, I'm aware, I can get it close though. When you come up and you see the detail level of that, it's really night and day difference. So we're going to have to trim away and eliminate I think that's pretty much where that lands. We're going to have to trim away and eliminate all of the detail basically north of this line right here to make sure that this comes down flat and that it comes down in the area that it's supposed to. And then you can also see the holes don't exactly line up because Trumpeter was incorrect in this. So these holes are going to get made bigger. So the idea is that when you're looking through it, you don't want to see a big thick piece of plastic there. You want to see it looking more metal, which would be very much thinner and very much more how the ship actually is. So the whole idea is to trim out the windows and eliminate as much of the plastic look as possible in order to basically give your ship the appearance that it is a real ship. So that is what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the next one, and then we'll start to glue together the backing plate and really start to get this project underway from a modeling perspective. The other thing I'm really excited to put on are the rudder details, which they're on another sheet. Actually, I have it right here, so I'll show you that. These are also Minibrass, and most of this ship I did get China 3D with, but these hull plates, obviously they're not marketed by China 3D, so you have to go this option. But here is your stern rudder details. This goes right below kind of where the prop is. These go on your actual rudder. And then you have your condenser discharge tubes right here, which I just saw Chris on the China 3D page, who's now a creator, did an excellent job making some China 3D ones. I already have these, so I'll be using these. The pad eyes and all that I have in China 3D, and I plan on using them because these just look extremely difficult to cut that, put that on there, and then place it onto the ship. So we're going to go with the China 3D ones. I do love these plates with the Titanic name actually pushed out, so they're fantastic. I like them. I like them a lot. So let me go ahead and pause this, get the next step kind of cut out, and I will be back with you shortly. Okay, here we go. So first section here, we have our parts pretty much all laid out of what they're going to make. And what I'm getting is some popsicle sticks. I'm looking for straight ones. I'll also probably use paint sticks when I'm doing this, but basically I need good straight edges. That is my plan. So I need to get a fair amount of these, because I'm going to use these with the clamps, and that is what we're going to use to kind of sandwich them together. It's just like looking at 2x4s for wood that's true. Those all look pretty good. So I want to make sure I have enough basically to cover. And obviously you can see that one's no good. It'll make a good mixing stick. That one, nope, no good. No good. So let me go through and find a pile of sticks first, and then I'll come back to you, because this might take a minute. Okay, here we go. We are back. So I got them cut and filed, and I got my toothpick, or those things, popsicle sticks. That's what we call them. So what we're going to do is kind of test lay them on here, and you want porthole 3, these 3 right here, and this little thing to kind of line up, just like so. And then you want it to line up on the top. So I'm using a gel super glue. That gives it a little bit more time to kind of be moved around and all that. You don't want to go very thick in this. You definitely don't want to go thick near edges and in between portholes, because it will kind of seep through if you do. So we're just going to kind of put little layers in. Now the good thing, like I said, it being a gel, it will be somewhat movable for a minute or two. And I'm going to kind of spread a little bit with a toothpick here, just kind of getting it around a little better where I globbed it too much. And move it to places where I did not get enough. You want to be very careful not to get it on you also, because that will then go onto your parts. There are ways to get super glue off, which I'm sure at some point we'll have to demonstrate, because I'm sure I will get it in places that I didn't want to get it. But that's okay, all part of modeling. Okay, so now we're going to come down, and like I said, we want those 3 holes to be lined up just like so. And then we want that little grate to be right over there. Now what this will do, it will also form our Utley portholes. That was the name of them, because that was the company that built them, on the back side. So you can see there that we now have our porthole frames. And the idea was with these, that the windows could actually turn in to help bring in breeze from the ship as it was moving. So there they are. What I'm going to do now is a popsicle stick on both sides. Definitely make sure you put a popsicle stick on the detail side. You don't want to dent this. Brass is very, very dentable. You don't have to have them like in any... Whoa! See? Luckily I didn't have it on there long enough. But you want to have it so both sides have coverage. And they help to get it flat. Okay. Next up, we're going to glue this one on. And this one's so small that I'm pretty confident it's going to stick on its own without any of the popsicle sticks. So just putting a small bead in between the holes there. And this is side specific, so you gotta make sure you have it on the right sides. Okay. And as if you've noticed, I was able to move that around a little bit because I'm using a gel glue, not a instant set. So for this part, I highly recommend that. All right. From the back side then, or front side, whatever you want to say, the ship facing way, I did get a little bit of glue there, but I got it off. All right. Now, our last one here is a section that actually overhangs onto the next piece of brass. So you want to make sure you get your windows lined up so they're correct. There we go, like that, because they will not fit this way, so they got to go this way. And you want this one window to overhang because that attaches to the next piece of hull plating. And again, I'm not going crazy with the glue, but what I am going to probably do is come back over it with some instant setting glue on the edges once we get set. All right. So I want to kind of build it up so I can see better. Just give me 1 second here. Okay. Now we're dropped on. Now it's just making sure we're leveled out, which is hard to see from the back side. So when I flip it, I'm just looking to make sure my windows are in basically the right location. That side's a little high, so I gotta push down. There we go. That brought that side up. Now, I did buy the Utley portholes from the China 3D group. Well, actually, not from the China 3D group, from Gene Davis. I'm not sure if they actually end up getting used when you're using this now that I'm doing this, because I do believe that these replace it. But we still might demonstrate, we'll still probably demonstrate them just for the matter of doing it. All right, so I got this side done. I already did this side off camera. So now we're gonna let them sit and basically cure. And we're gonna move on to the next step. So let me pull my directions and I'll be right back. Okay, the next section is part B and part C. And just like that last section, we have part B front part, part B back part, and then part C front, part C back. So I'm going to cut these out, and I am doing them in tandem. I'm doing the port side and the starboard side at the same time. I'm doing one off camera, one on. So that's just how I'm doing it, but I'm not showing everything. I will end up showing them all as I get it done. Okay, got that one off. And again, you can see where the culling doors would be and all that good stuff to kind of align you to where you're at. And we're again going to just kind of clean off the sprue on the edges. The other thing you can use if you get worried about hitting an edge there is just your nipper. Very close. Just be careful with it. Don't go too far. You'll get a nice flat cut. I've been doing that on the edges just because I worry about pulling the file across it and bending it up a little bit, which obviously would be bad. So we don't want to do that. if you do this, just be really, really, really careful. I'm just amazed with the rivet detail on these parts. From what I've read, every single rivet is supposed to be exact on these, so it's pretty impressive. And for those of you who have been around for a little while in the Titanic model world, since the Trumpeter kit came out, these were originally produced by Scale the Titanic, which it is essentially the exact same parts. So if you're working on a build that's using those parts, I saw there was a gentleman that just bought one recently on Facebook. It was partially built, and he was using the Scale the Titanic set, so they should essentially be the same, and this will pretty much cover the process for both companies. Okay, so that's those two. And we're going to cut out this one. Now, you'll notice on the sheet, we still have all these. They end up getting stuck on down in here in a later step here, which we'll be showing. Along with the doors, I do believe I have some China 3D doors, but I'm not positive if they are the culling doors, so I gotta double check that before I glue down, and I got to decide which ones I'm using. If that is indeed what I have, I just have to double check. There's a lot of parts to what I got going on here, so it's just time consuming to go back and forth and check, and you tend to forget from one to the next what you exactly have when you're talking about this many aftermarket parts. Okay, so sorry you get to watch me clip them. I just don't do the whole music and fast forward thing. It's just not my style. Okay, now the other cool aspect is looking at how big some of these windows are. We're putting in the entire Woody's set of interior, and then we're probably going to do some additional even in the areas that are not included in his set, because I 3D printed a bunch of beds and wardrobes and all that kind of stuff. And those are actually right here. I'll show them a second, so that I can use them. You can see here I got wardrobes, I got coffee tables, got beds, got chairs. This is a vanity right in here, and then I got bookshelves. So these will be able to be used in rooms that I don't have covered by Woody's. So we're going to be pretty extensive in our interior appointments for the ship. Okay, let me move this. Sorry for the shaking. All right, so We're going to do the exact same thing here, flipping that over. And first lining up to make sure our windows are in the right spots, which they were not, as you could see. Okay, now I'm less worried about the little bit of sprue hanging off on there. I am more worried about it up on the top, because that will be visible. The other side will be inside the ship. So the other thing I love about the brass, it's going to really help to kill the light bleed through, which when we get to the lighting stage, I have quite a few tricks on that I've used. If you've seen my Facebook page, which is LCModelBuilding, take the ship out of there, but just LCModelBuilding. I have pictures up of Queen Mary 2 that I had built, and that one is pretty extensive in the lighting department, and I got very little light bleed on it, so pretty excited about that one. I plan on this one to be actually quite a bit better. So we'll go through all that when it gets time for that. I have ordered a ton of LED lights. I think I'll have about 250 on hand when we actually start to do the lighting. That doesn't include the strips, I'm just talking nano bulbs. So there is going to be an absolute ton of lighting, and we are going to dim it down so it's period correct and all that good stuff. Alright, so that's basically how that sits. But I just figured I'd mention that a little bit, because the light bleed through is a real, concern that you have to deal with when you're building one of these. Really, any model that you're lighting up. It looks terrible if you don't do it right. And that's what these videos are really about. I mean, I know my way might not be perfect. It might not be the way you would do it, and that's okay too. It is how I have done it, and I've had some pretty good success with it, so that's why I'm teaching, or showing anyway. As I said in previous builds that I've done on camera now, I don't proclaim to be any expert at all, and I learn new things all the time, so I don't get offended with the comments. I mean, it is what it is. I also like to learn new things too, so if you have a better way of doing it, great, share it. Let other people know, because that's what this is all about. I mean, I really do this. This all started, the whole YouTube thing, because when I would post up my pictures of the builds, I would have a bunch of comments and PMs and questions about how I did this or how I did that. So that's where this started from. And I actually have fun doing it, so it's done though for the viewer, not for me, because it really adds a lot of time and effort into trying to make sure I have shots right so you can see, and trying to make sure that I'm not showing something that would foul somebody up. Okay, there we go. So again, we're going to put our wood behind here. And I'm real happy with how the portholes are lining up there. They look real good. You could do this with paint sticks too, which might be a little bit more quicker to set up, but popsicle sticks seem to be working just fine, so I'm okay with that too. They don't have to sit that long either. I mean, this glue is setting up fairly quick. It's more just a matter of making sure everything's exactly where I want it and holding good and tight before it sets up permanently. Okay. So we'll do this one, which is essentially done for now. And now we'll do the next piece, which again is basically the exact same process all over again. Okay, that looks pretty good. And there. This one does have 2 small portholes right in here that help to line it up real nice. I like that. And what we'll end up doing, I didn't show it with the other ones, unfortunately. I'll show it with these, or the next set is just taking a blade with some glue in between the 2 slices to hold the part down better. The other cool thing about between the YouTube model world and just the Facebook model world is some of the great people you meet and talk to. I mean, I've had some really cool people that I've got to meet through this whole process. I haven't met them in person, but, you know, people I talk to frequently now that I never obviously would have met had I not gotten into this. So it is fun. I try to answer pretty much every comment, good, bad, and different. So, you know, feel free to leave some input. All right. Just making sure my windows are where I want them. Okay. Put some popsicle sticks on, and then I'm gonna pause it, do the other side quick, and then we'll come back and do the front half, and we'll do some other detail work that I was showing you before. Oh, money saving tip. I generally tend to kind of give them. These little clamps I'm using, I get at Harbor Freight. They're $1.99 a piece, for a bag of like 10 or 15 of them, something like that. And the glue, I've actually had extremely good success with their CA glue. I've had models that I've built 10, 15 years ago that are still holding perfectly fine with that glue. Pretty amazed, actually. And you can get a 10-pack of it for like $2.50, $3, somewhere in that neighborhood. But anyway, a little plug for that. So, I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the final sheet. I went ahead and did the front one, or the front one. This would be the starboard one. And by far, it is definitely the most challenging. So there's a lot of piece that goes in here, and you need to follow your rivet lines on it. So basically, we'll show what we did on that. So I'm gonna flip it over, much like before. I'm gonna start with the largest piece. Got a little bit more glue there Alright, so we're just getting it around pretty good where it's going to connect, basically how we have before. Nothing overly difficult here. Okay. So that is this guy here. And it just basically drops onto those windows just like before. Now I'm not putting the popsicle sticks on it right this second. I don't even know if I will, because it will be pretty well set up by the time we're done here. Okay, next up are our portholes, which go there. So again, don't want to go crazy with the glue, but I am putting some above and beyond, or above and below the porthole run, because this has to drop into it and then hold on from there. Okay. That actually dropped pretty perfect, it looks like. Yep, okay. Now what I found my best way to do on the first side was basically just kind of hold it down for a second, let the glue set. Okay. Now, here we have the rivet plates, and you can see this side is different than that side. That side has to line up with the end of the plates right over here, basically, from the back side. So it essentially will sit right there. So how I am doing this is kind of just setting it there. I want to make sure I get it lined up before I apply any glue. Okay. So there's where I need to be. I lost it. And it bends a little, so kind of work it with my fingers a little to get it back. I'm going to put a dab of glue over here just to kind of be a place setter. Okay, and it has a line of rivets at the top there too that you gotta make sure you get exposed. You can barely see it, but they're there. Okay, and that's where we want it. Now, I'm just gonna kind of run some glue along the edges here. Try not to stick my finger down. And this one, it's not per se difficult, it's just hard because you can't see it to line that up perfect when it's laying down like this. So just going to kind of hold it down. Same thing that we did with those portholes. Give the glue a minute to bite. Okay. This one does the exact same thing, just a little bit smaller. I need to get one of those wax pens that can pick this stuff up easier. Okay, so there you go. You can see that lined up. Now we have this one that also has a rivet line on the edge over here. And that one goes down here. We'll end up doing the same thing probably in a second here once I know my rivet lines are right. Actually, I'm pretty much on, just a smidgen over. There we go. Okay, right there is where I want it. So, same thing in here is going to be just gluing. There we go. And a touchdown. Now this one, like I said, I didn't end up doing the popsicle sticks on the other side with the clamps because the glue being exposed. So I basically am just letting it gonna sit for a few minutes and harden up. But there you go. That is what that one looks like then finished. Well, until we put the detail work on it. So we're gonna start there with this one. And now we have a whole bunch of doors and other little detail pieces that go on here. And each of the sheets then has these left. So we have some coaling doors here, and we have some double plates that go in various areas throughout here. So the one thing I want to do real quick is go double check my my 3D printed stuff and make sure I don't have coaling doors, which I'm 99% sure I don't. So I'm going to check that, put it on pause a minute, and I will be right back. Okay, so doing the hull doubling. As you can see here, that's my first one, and I'm going to hold up here because this is important to notice. Along the top, I'm so sorry that's blurry, along the top there, you can see that very faint line. That is your shear line. So it is important that you have that on the right side. Otherwise, when it comes time to paint your shear line on, it's not going to fit so well. And when I was zoomed in, I noticed a little piece there I didn't like. Okay, so how we're going to do this, and they go in order. So you got 74, then you got 75, then you got 76, then you got 77, 78, and I'll try to zoom it in a little bit there. Oh no, I guess you can actually see it. There's no riveting in those spots where the double panels will go. So what we're going to do is basically just go in order. And let me get a little bit of CA here. And for this, I'm going to just use standard CA. I'm not using the gel. So I kind of got to get it right on the first shot, or I could have problems. Whoa. All right. Now, I will be using tweezers to kind of drop it, which which I would recommend that you probably do the same. And what we're going to do is just put some along the back here. For this one, I'm not using the tweezers just because it's right on the edge, and I'm pretty sure I can get it. Or not. There we go. Okay, that's on. They're not in order on the sprue, so make sure that you pay attention to that. Sorry if you can't see. I'll try to move that over here a little bit. So yeah, they're not in order, but they place in order. It starts at 74 on this particular piece and works its way across. This one I will use our tweezers for. Ooh, I don't like these tweezers. Kind of bent funny. Alright, well, I'm going to change the tweezers out after I go off camera. So, that was 74, 75, so now we go to 76, which is this guy. And the rest of all the panels basically go this exact same way, so I'm not going to film all 6 of them as I do this. Just kind of want to get you to have an idea of what this looks like. We will come back when we get into the other panels that are a little bit different. There's some octagonal ones, I guess you'd call them. I forget the name of them. I have to look them up. They had a specific name. I'm sure somebody will comment. Mark Hendy. Okay. And you do get a little bit of time to work with the CA, so it's not completely like it dries 100% instantly. I mean, as you noticed, I had to move that around a little bit. Okay. And this is some very nice detail. It really is. Oh, I don't like that. That one got a little CA bath before it went on, but it's okay. Okay, that was 77. Now we go to 78. 78 goes down here in the center. I'm sure by the time I get to the end of this, I will find the perfect way to do this. But in the beginning, kind of playing around between... Oh, and this one does have a line in it too. So you want to... It's very subtle. There's a line on the bottom. I didn't mention that when I put the first one on, but... Well, the first center one on, I mean... But it is there ever so slightly. Okay. Then we got 79, which is back here. Actually, I have a feeling you probably can't see this on camera where I'm cutting, so I do apologize. But I tried to zoom it in so you can actually see what this looks like. I didn't have enough fun the first time I tried that. These tweezers are terrible. I think I might have stepped on them. Okay. So that was 79, so now we got 80, which will go here. Okay. Oh. Okay. Now 81 goes here. Okay, and that one should go that way. It does have a small bit of pattern into it. You can barely see it, but there is just a tiny bit of pattern. He's upside down. Okay. I may have to pop that one off. I do believe he was supposed to be higher. Okay, well, I'm not going to do that. Oh, good. Yep. That makes more sense. Ooh, I got a lot of glue. If you get CA, I mean, you're going to get it on your fingers pretty much regardless doing this. But if you get too much in a spot and you get it quick enough, you can wipe it off with your finger and it's not leaving really any kind of residue, so it'll be all right. So that was number 80. So now, no, that was 81. So now I need 82, which goes here. Too much. No, once it's spread, it's okay. Okay. 82, 83 goes right next to it. Okay, 84. We're almost there. Got about 5, 6 more. Then I will pause it. And then we'll do one of the bigger sections. And then that will pretty much wrap up this video because this is obviously gonna be a 2-part video with prepping the hull and then actually installing it, because there's no way I'm going to fit this all into anything that anyone will sit and watch for that amount of time. Okay. There. All right, 85. The directions for this also were not the easiest to find, although they are helpful enough on the Trumpeter Titanic 1-200 Facebook page. If you go into the files section, you will find your instructions for this. They do not come with the instructions. So, just an FYI to anyone doing this. and it's an electronic version. You can print it. I did not. Would have made life a little bit easier probably to print it. Okay, 86 goes right under that porthole. And I will put a link to the Facebook page I'm referring to in the description down below. That is a private members group, but you can sign up to get access. Very good group of builders on there. Okay, 87. It's 4 more pieces. Okay. 87 will go right there. I do believe. I just gotta make sure that fits right. Yes, so 87. Then we have 88, which is a small guy. It looks like he goes here. 89 is another small one. Which I'm going to double check the directions before I glue that down, just because I don't want to make a mistake. But I know 90 goes here, so I'll be right back. I want to just double check this. Okay, I was correct. So 87 is here. Get a little more glue. Okay. 88. Goes right there. $89, and we're almost there. Now the calling doors do not go on yet. They will go on once the, I believe once the plating goes onto the actual hull. I'll double check that, but in any case, they should go here, so they need to go on the hull. Okay, this one also has a shear stripe at the top here, so be mindful of that. Okay, last one. Okay, so once this one's done, then we'll go on and do one of the center superstructure pieces. And then we'll pretty much wrap up this video. Come on. The last one has to mess with you. There we go. You don't look right. I think he's supposed to be down. I'm almost sure he's supposed to, yeah, he is. Okay, got a small bend. Luckily, it's not big. Alright, no problem. He goes down here. There we go. Okay, so that wraps up that one. And it's a small detail, but once it is painted, it is very, very noticeable. You can kind of see them from the side there, probably, hopefully. But they make a massive difference between that and what we would have here. So this basically rides right here. Very much exactly right there. So you can also see how much the portholes, you can also see how much the portholes do not line up, because that is where they truly belong. So, there you go. Alright, I'm going to pause it a minute, switch up my setup that I'm doing, and we will be right back. Okay, so this is, actually believe this is the grand staircase entrance, or it would be the main entrance to the ship. So we're going to start on that part right now. Excuse me. Again, they're numbered in order. I'm not going to go through this whole entire one because it's pretty much essentially the exact same thing that we just went through. The cool thing is on this, it has your little octagonal pieces that are molded into the hull, but do not look anything like the detail level that these have. So again, very well worth it in my opinion. Just a really nice setup here. So I highly recommend this kit to anybody that is building the Trumpeter Titanic kit, just because of the crazy level of detail that you get with it. These are also directional. They do have a pattern in the rivets that you have to follow, so hopefully you can see that in there. So 28, then we have 29, which is all the way up there. So 28, 29 right here. Sorry for the pause, I just wanted to make sure I was grabbing the right piece. Alright, and essentially it will go on and on from here. I'm going to put this one on, and then we're just going to pretty much wrap up the video. I'm going to show kind of a comparison again of the brass up against the plastic for the exact spot that it is, so you get a good idea of what you could expect. Now, tomorrow, the motors and servo and all of the wiring go into the hull. So that is probably going to be 3 videos on its own. Obviously, I won't release them all on the same day, but basically, this goes here, and you can see the difference in the detail. Let me move that over to the side. There you go. That really kind of starts to show how much more detail there is to it, and just how much better of a kit you're going to end up with by doing this. So, I was slightly worried about drilling the portholes with these, what do you call it, windows, the Utley windows. Luckily, none of them are. It's all these. So, that won't be so bad. But they're going to get cut out quite a bit bigger anyway. So, we're going to wrap it up, and thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time here at LC Model Shipbuilding.